I am so excited right now, folks. One of my most hotly anticipated figures of this year has just arrived in the post. It's this Wolverine from the X-Men Animated Series in the Marvel Legends line. Let's take a closer look at the figure and share some thoughts, shall we? Okay then, here is the Marvel Legends X-Men Animated Series Wolverine. And before we open it up, we've got to pause for a moment and appreciate that awesome nostalgic artwork on the front of the box there in this retro VHS design. I think that's really tremendous. So if you take a look at the front there, we've got this fantastic, really dynamic Wolverine shot just getting into some action. Then on the side of the box, I'm loving this, the little VHS cutaway like it used to be back in the day. And then on the back, we've got a little bit of a character profile and a great photo of the figure, as well as all the legal malarkey there. So really great packaging. Something else of note before I crack it open, let's just hone in on this bit. Very encouraged to see this move by Hasbro, the plastic-free packaging element. I'm certainly a big fan of throwing away less plastic and ended up with less little plasticky nodules in the water and doing damage to the environment. I have seen some criticism of the approach, the fact that you can't see the figure before you buy it, so you can't be on the lookout for any dodgy paint apps or anything, but because I buy largely online, that's less of an issue for me. All right, let's get this open then so I can get some playtime and do some posing. Let's see what this plastic-free packaging looks like. So open up the VHS box there. And it's got like it looks like it's a cardboard insert holding the figure. Let's slide that out there. What else we got in here? Oh, there's a bit of something, bit of gubbins. Oh, paperwork. Let's see what's in this little baggie. Oh, how did you get into that? I'm suddenly being confounded by... Oh, I see. Right, so here we go. We've got the head. We have his... Oh, the classic meme picture of Jean and Scott. And then here it looks like we've got a couple of hands. Are these the clawless hands? They are the clawless hands. There we go. So that's all the accessories required to do the classic Wolverine animated series meme. And then here we are, the figure itself, being held in this kind of cardboard storage bit. And if we take him out the bag here... Oh, and he's got a little bit of extra paper protection there. Here we have the Wolverine. Here we go then. There is the Wolverine animated series figure. And looking pretty good straight out the box there. Looking forward to having a play around with this one. Here we go then. Here is Wolverine, the best at what he does, bub. And it's been a couple of days since I recorded the unboxing. And as usual, I've been away, I've had a play, I've been posing him around, I've been putting him into some little scenes with a couple of my other X-Men and things. And I'm now ready to share some thoughts. So let's get started and talk a bit about the aesthetic of the figure. And just soaking him in straight away here with the kind of the full body view. I'm pretty damn pleased, actually. It looks like Wolverine from the animated series. There's a lot to like about him, and I've found when I've been digging my figures out to have a little bit of a play or been looking for things to photograph, I've been gravitating towards him over the last few days, which is really quite nice. So I've opened up the arms there so that we can have a better look at the main body and a closer peek at the uniform. And to my eye, he looks very cartoon accurate. I mean, I've not compared it next to a screenshot or anything, but to my recollections as a child in the 90s when I were a lad sat on my mum and dad's living room floor watching X-Men Animated Series cartoons, everything about this is just setting off those warm nostalgic feels in me. The yellow's on point, the blue's on point, the black trimmings, the red belt, the claws, just everything is saying, yes, this fits your recollection of that cartoon. You are in love with this figure because you love that cartoon. And I think, if you're interested in this line, or specifically this Wolverine figure from Hasbro, because like me, you want to tap into those nostalgic feelings, then absolutely this guy's spot on. Bringing Wolverine in a bit closer, I just wanted to talk about an element of the figure that has been debated quite a bit since the first reveal, the first publicity reveal, and since we started seeing shots of the figure, and that's the animated series cell shading effect that Hasbro have chosen to put on the figure. You can see this, there's a bit there on the shoulder pad, you can see it on his chest here, there's a bit on his leg coming across the groin and the leg there. You can see it here across the back of his mask. And I have to admit that now I have him in hand, and I've been playing around with him, and I've had him on the shelf with some of my other X-Men standard line figures, I think the cell shading is actually quite subtle and doesn't stand out quite as aggressively, and doesn't contrast quite as aggressively with the standard line look as I think many first thought. For a quick comparison, I've just grabbed my Gambit and my Rogue here, because I've got them currently in what I would describe as shelf rotation right now. And I think less the cell shading and actually more the animated style skin tones is what more aggressively contrasts with the main standard line look and feel. The cell shading just looks like a bit of shadow, basically, whereas the lighter colour animated skin tone seems to stand out a bit more. I don't know, you might disagree, but I know that some are concerned about it, so just wanted to chuck that little comparison in there. Bringing him in a bit closer for some of the finer detail. I love the face. I'm using the scowly, growly head on him right now. There are two heads in the pack. We'll have a look at the other one in a second. But I really feel like the expression is coming through the mask. The way the facial expression around the eyes is kind of bunching the mask up. Then the chin and the growl is just spot on. Obviously, we've got the larger wings. Is that what we call them? The wings on his mask? The sticky outy bits here that replicate his hairstyle. This is, of course, to remain more cartoon accurate. And then while I've got him up close here on this side, you can see there's a lovely bit of texture in the arms there as well. You've got the muscles, a bit of veinage in there, and a bit of hairy, Wolverine, Logan-y hairiness, but not weirdly painted. Not weirdly painted on like we've seen with some Wolverines in the past. So lots of nice finer detail when you get in closer. I do particularly like the way that the claws are moulded into the hand there as well. Got the little exit points in his gloves where the claws shoot out of his hands with a bit of texture added in there. That's really nice. I've seen Wolverine figures in the past where the claws are kind of coming out more from the knuckle point here, but that's actually from the back of the hand, which is more accurate. Although the claws on both hands are a bit squiffy. I'm going to be getting the hairdryer on that in an effort to straighten them out a bit. This side particularly is very wobbly bendy, but that's par for the course, I suppose, for collectors, action figure collectors like us. And while I'm on the subject of muscles, muscular definition and texture, you can see a lot of the character is given some depth by the muscular definition in the torso and in the legs, as well as on the forearms, obviously bursting out of his incredibly skin-tight X-Men uniform. Also a big fan of the red belt across the middle there, in addition to the fact that I remember it vividly as part of his uniform from the cartoon, and as I say, the nostalgia factor that the cartoon accuracy is giving me, I think it just helps frame the figure up. Lots of nice balance in the way that they've got the blacks, the blues, and the yellows there. So overall, for a cartoon stroke comic book fan such as myself, ticking a lot of boxes in terms of the way he looks, the aesthetic of the figure. Let's now talk a little bit about articulation, and let's start with above the shoulders with his head. So the articulation in the head area, as far as Wolverine is concerned, is really outstanding. He has got an incredible range of motion. So the way that they've sculpted his neck here and put the head on the ball joint means that you've got a really great up, great down, chin right into the chest there, all the way around. Bit of tilt as well. He's ready for all sorts of posing action. The articulation in the headspace is wonderful. Onto the arm articulation now then. You can see you've got this butterfly joint here on the top shoulder. Gives you a bit of forward motion, although not all that far back. But far back enough for some nice poses. The shoulder pads are on a little swivel joint here, so you can manipulate them a little bit to help you out with your posing and articulation. The shoulders, I don't know if mine's just a bit tight out the box or whether that's the limit, but you can't get quite a full T out of him. He's a bit of a droopy T, so that's something to bear in mind, but I've mostly found myself posing him with low arm motions for stabby stuff anyway. Then in the bicep and tricep, we've got a swivel. There is a double elbow, but what I found is because of the size of his muscular arms, the double elbow sort of stops there. You can't get it all the way kind of up, but you can get a nice straight arm line. And then in the hands, you got full swivel and some tilt for even more stabby action. On the main torso here, nice range of motion as well there. We've got the ab crunch in here, can go back that far. But he's got really good forward all the way in there. And then there's some waist swivel, which sits just along the top line of his underpants here, underneath the belt. And you can swivel him all the way around. That's nice, isn't it? And then moving below the waist, we've got some forward kick and some fairly decent backwards motion, although the curve of his arse cheek gets in the way. There's some swivel at the top of the thigh there. We've got a double knee, which goes pretty far back. And then there's some swivel in the boot itself, and I really like that actually. I like the way the swivel is in the boot. You can kind of see that there's not a cut line, it's the whole boot. And then the feet, we've got lots of good motion here, side by side, forward and backwards. So lots of posing opportunity. I'm really happy overall with the articulation actually. I think that they've clearly put some thought into the type of poses that Wolverine fans would want to be putting their Wolverine figures into. And so they've really set it up in a nice way where you can get some nice kind of low, aggressive, animalistic style Wolverine poses. So big thumbs up on that one, Hasbro. I think you've done a great job, Marvel Legends team, on thinking about how I want to play with my Wolverine. Well done. Moving on to talk about the accessories with the figure, and there's a couple of nice little bits that come with Wolverine. I'm going to start with the head swap. We've got this one here that's a much more kind of stoic, straight-faced look. Again, really bringing the character and personality out even through the mask there. This guy is definitely one of the easiest head swaps I've ever come across, with no hot bath or hairdryer required, just nice pull. It's a bit fiddly to get the head back on though, because on that neck, the head moves around a bit on the stud, but there you go. Nice and simple, straightforward, classic Marvel Legends head swap, but no fuss or faff with that. We've then got a couple of clawless hands to swap out so that you can have him posed up without the claws popped. And then Hasbro, in all their witty wisdom, have leaned right into the classic X-Men Animated Series meme, including the classic Jean Grey and Cyclops picture that Wolverine was lamenting over in the cartoon. And what's a really lovely touch about this, I noticed, is that you can pop the frame out and remove the picture to put whatever you like in there. Brief little side note on the picture, actually. I know they're leaning into the meme in order for us to all have a bit of a giggle, and I applaud that. But I did try and pose him up in the classic meme pose a bit earlier today to take a photo with, and unless I'm missing something, I can't seem to get him to grip the picture in a way that doesn't make it seem like his mutant power is having a double-jointed thumb, a weirdly misshapen hand. So please do let me know in the comments below, what's your technique for getting that done, because I can't seem to figure it out. So all in all, this Wolverine figure really ticks a lot of boxes for me. He looks great. He's really singing to the nostalgic vibes within me, which is absolutely what I wanted from an X-Men Animated Series figure. So I'm loving that, the look, the aesthetic, the feel of it's just really speaking to my wants, my needs, my desires in that area there. The articulation and posability is spot on. The photographer and the shelf display maker in me has had a lot of fun with this figure, and I have to confess, he's given me a good play experience as well. I've been full on man-child with this guy, having a little play around with him, like really nostalgically revisiting my time as a young lad in the 90s. So yeah, ticking lots of boxes. I think he's a really solid figure that I can give a thumbs up to, and if you're thinking about picking one up, then I would recommend it. If you're a fan of Wolverine, if you're a fan of the X-Men Animated Series, and you can get past the cell shading, which I clearly can, then this is definitely the figure for you. So there we go, there's my Wolverine review. I hope you've enjoyed hearing my thoughts today and it's helped you make your mind up if you're thinking about picking one up. Please do take a moment to give me a thumbs up, give us the like, it takes just a second for you. See, there you go, just like that, as fast as that, but it means ever so much to me. And if you like having reviews of this nature from a big old man-child nerd like myself, who just loves sharing all the collectibles that he's bringing into his house now that he has money of his own, then consider subscribing to the channel. We do action figure content, board game content, trading card content, comic book content. If you, like me, worship at the broad church of nerddom, then hopefully this is the channel for you. Okay, well, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you again soon.